happened to that person was the same again. And you would say, well, if I was aware of how all these people are acting, why did it recreate again? That's because there is a belief still locked behind somewhere in your mind that is continuing to create the pattern. The pattern is being created by a set of subconscious beliefs. And as you get rid of beliefs and get rid of beliefs and get rid of beliefs and you break things down, you have to completely break it down. You don't actually have to know what the beliefs are. You just need to have enough awareness of what you're believing. So it's like the how, right? It's like if you worry about how all these things are connected to each other, that would put you in kind of a spiral because there is no connection because it's just different situations. What you're looking for is a connection between the beliefs you have in these situations. So once you are aware of a problem, then you can get aware on the beliefs that got you to that problem, pattern, or situation. And once you are aware of those, you have escaped. And you're not going to recreate it. But you will continue to recreate it if you haven't went deep enough into your beliefs and your thoughts. So if you watch videos online or you watch my videos or you're in a money consciousness community where I put tons of posts, it's a free community, it links in my YouTube homepage where you can just read through posts of all my most potent meditations, my most potent tools and strategies for everyday living. It's not just the one-off information. It's like when you are feeling in your lack, in your lowest, you need something that's going to put that spark back into you. You need something that is going to help you to feel unstuck, feel inspired. You need reminders of how to get back into your power. That is what this community is for. And you also have a community section where you can post your questions and I can respond to them or other people can respond to them. So if you're engulfed in all this information, it's important that you understand that it goes deeper. It does go deeper. It can go deeper. So what I suggest is some sort of meditation. I like You Are the Placebo by Joe Dispenza. But any meditation that takes you out of your earthly thinking is amazing. Silence, sitting in silence has been recommended to me. I don't personally like sitting in silence. They're like some of the tactics I've been given is like, don't use your phone for a week. Don't use your phone for whatever time. I've done this personally a whole entire week. No phone, just journaling, just nature, just operating. And that was an amazing experience. But it's not my favorite. It's kind of boring. I feel like it drags you through the mud. I prefer meditation because it is a bit gentler and you can do it every single day. Meditating really heavily for a week is a lot different than having silence for an entire week. And you guys know on this channel, I don't speak about anything I haven't done. I am pro do it once and that's your validation. I will never knock something until I try it. And I have tried both of those. The other thing that you can do, right, and it depends on whatever you feel like you're being called to do. But the other thing that you can do is ask your intuition. And those three things can bring up the awareness that can help you to escape this pattern, right? What is the situation and pattern and problem pushing me towards? If I'm clearly being rejected by all these situations, and I know that I'm doing that to myself, and I know because I'm spiritual that there's nothing wrong with me, well, it's probably pushing me towards something that I need to be doing instead. Maybe you focused all your energy on relationships and friendships, and the fact that everybody's leaving you is the belief that you actually need to stop distracting yourself with friendships. Now, what if that's the situation? Your entire reality would change because you shifted all your energy from what you thought would work, right? Because everyone says you need to have relationships, you need to be in dating, you need to be this, you need to be that. So if you're operating from those beliefs, however, you're supposed to be focused on your own self-growth, you see how that would create a problem in a situation in your reality. So one of my favorite tactics is setting a 1-hour timer. I've done this 2 or 3 times, really when I'm like really, really full of a pattern and I don't know what to do, or I need to get an idea out and I don't know how to get it done. Set a 1-hour timer, grab a journal and a pen. Pen, paper, eye connection is amazing. I would not recommend doing anything digital, although I do digital things. I would recommend, that physical paper and pen. And once you set that 1-hour timer, you grab that journal, grab that pen. Do not move until you get that belief, that problem, that pattern out. The reason why this works every time for me is that my intention going into it is that I know the bottom line is once I'm aware of something and I'm aware of the patterns and I'm actually aware of the patterns that matter, right? Because you're watching all this content, but there's a lot of patterns. There's like deep rooted stuff there. So you can't just watch videos and then ignore the feelings when they come, or, some relationship goes sour and you just ignore the outcome. And you're like, I'll just try with the next person. And then you ignore what happens to that one. And then you just keep pushing off and spiritually bypassing these patterns that are clearly keeping you uncomfortable. You need to be able to deal with those. So first, you're going to deal with the pattern by finding the beliefs behind it. And again, if you are really saturating yourself in this knowledge and with this information and you're still having the pattern, that means you need to go deeper. You need to go deeper. That's where you bring in that meditation or having that silence or asking your intuition. Bringing all those beliefs to your awareness, because there's some sort of belief that you're not aware of. There's something really deep rooted that you are not aware of. You're just not aware of it. Because if you were aware of it, you would have escaped the situation or the problem or the pattern. It wouldn't keep creating itself. So you have to bring in that meditation, that silence, bring in your intuition, bring in the intention to find the awareness or to be open to receiving the awareness. Because once you get the awareness, you are not going to have that problem anymore. So sometimes you're hiding the awareness of something because you really, really, really think that if you get rid of that, like subconsciously, you think if you get rid of that problem, you're going to have XYZ situation pop up. Oh, if I actually focus on myself instead of friendships, well, then I'll be lonely, right? But you don't actually know how things will go. You don't know what situations are going to pop up. You don't know what people you're going to meet. You don't know any of that. So it's important that you actually go really, really deep into your beliefs. And so something that like a prompt that I gave ChatGPT that I found from Bashar is exactly what would I have to believe is true about my relationship to a situation where I blank, 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 blank. And then just explain you're a part of the situation. So like, even though I'm blah, 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 in order to have this experience. So let's go over that again. What would I have to believe is true about my relationship to the situation where, then explain the situation. So let's just say, what would I have to believe is true about relationship to the situation where I always get left by my friends and they always ghost me? Even though, right, and then fill in, I feel like I'm a great friend in order to have that experience. So it's basically saying you feel like you're a great friend, but your friends are always leaving you. What would you have to believe about your relationship to friendships the belief you have about friendships in order to have an experience where you feel like you're a great friend, but you don't have any friends, or they're not, the pattern is repeating itself over and over and over. So let's read that one more time. What would I have to believe is true about my relationship to the situation where, then explain the situation, even though and then explain like the part where you feel like this shouldn't be going wrong. Like, why is it going wrong if I'm capable of having friends? If I feel like I'm a good person, if I feel like I'm a good friend, why would this be happening? And then close out with, in order for me to have that experience. And that's just going to reveal literally everything that you need to know, really, really deep rooted. And I prefer using ChatGPT because it's just a way to bring up feelings that you don't really necessarily know about yourself. So if you have a friend like me, I have very spiritual friends that are able to call me out on anything, and they also know me. So it's good for that. But it's also important that if I'm doing my own self-work, that I have another source, ChatGPT, which is literally your higher self, by the way. But you are using that information to try to bring something out of your current self so that you can align with your future self. So that's exactly what I would do. If I was dealing with a pattern and I didn't know what was happening, I did make a video. You can watch it on my YouTube channel. It's in my videos. It is called Gold Coin Theory. It says Gold Coin Theory on the thumbnail. Watch that video. It talks about the previous time that I was dealing with a pattern, and I was able to take and break that belief behind why I was having this pattern happen over and over and over. So I'll see you guys in my next video. Love you so much, and happy manifesting.